Bye. The weight behind her smile, Ana de Armas, sat at the edge of the set, her script resting on her lap like it weighed more than it should. The makeup crew had long gone. The cameras were still. Laughter and footsteps echoed in the distance from a corridor where the crew packed up for the day. She didn't move. She just stared ahead, not blinking much, not breathing too deep. Her eyes stayed fixed on nothing, but her lashes blinked fast like they were trying to clear something only she could see. The day had been long. Too many retakes. Too many lines she couldn't quite deliver the way she wanted. But it wasn't the scene that wore her down. It wasn't the acting. It wasn't even the director's passive sighs when she missed the emotion he wanted. It was something else. Something that had nothing to do with lights, cameras, or the cold tea she forgot beside her chair. It was that feeling in her chest again. The one that followed her from the hotel room. The one she thought she'd left in Madrid weeks ago. The one that made her smile just a little too carefully. People passed by her, crew members, assistants, extras, even the lighting guy who once lent her his jacket when it got too cold on set. They all walked past. They all said things like, "Good job today," or "See you tomorrow." But none of them looked at her. Really looked. Except Keanu. He hadn't left yet. He stood behind a pillar near the hallway, quiet like he always was. Like air. Like time. He had noticed her silence during the last take. The way her hand trembled when she reached for the glass in the scene. No one else had seen it. The director thought it was a character choice. Maybe it was. Maybe not. But Keanu saw through that. He didn't walk up to her at first. He waited. He watched. His eyes weren't intense, just soft. Like he knew what it meant to pretend everything was fine. He waited until the hallway emptied, until the clatter of equipment stopped, until the silence around her was complete. Then he walked. His steps were slow, no urgency, no questions ready, no comfort rehearsed. He just walked to her side, hands in the pockets of his long coat. And when he stood beside her, she didn't look up. She felt him there, though, like a gentle presence. Like a memory that didn't ask to be remembered. Keanu said nothing. He didn't need to. Ana tightened her grip on the script, her fingers curling around it like it would keep her anchored. Her breathing grew shallow. Still, she didn't speak. Then her voice came out so faint he almost missed it. "Do you ever feel like you're not really here?" Keanu turned slightly toward her but still said nothing. His face stayed calm, unreadable but open. She smiled a little. That same smile she gave everyone. The safe one. Like you're just pretending to be okay, but deep down you're just holding your breath. She blinked fast again. The tears hadn't fallen yet. Not quite. They were just waiting at the edge, hiding behind every word. Keanu sat down beside her. Not too close, not too far. He placed his hands on his knees and looked at the empty set in front of them. "Yes," he finally said. More than once. Ana looked at him then. Just a glance. Just enough to see he meant it.
"It's stupid," she whispered. "Everything's fine. Work is fine. People are kind. I'm lucky. I should be happy."
Keanu nodded once, slowly. "You're not stupid." Ana let out a breath that trembled at the end.
"I just feel like if I cry, I might not stop."
Silence again. Not heavy. Just honest. Keanu leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "You don't have to cry," he said. "Not if you don't want to. But you don't have to hold it in for anyone either." She turned her face slightly away. Her eyes stayed on the floor. She blinked once. Twice. Then a single tear slid down. Keanu didn't react. He didn't say, "It's going to be okay." He didn't say, "You're strong." He didn't say, "Don't cry." He just sat there, still, calm, quiet. Anna wiped the tear with the back of her hand, fast and embarrassed. "Sorry," she said. "Don't be," Keanu answered. She looked down at the script again, the words now blurry. Then she laughed a little, barely. "I forgot half my lines today. I don't think anyone noticed." Keanu tilted his head. "I noticed, but they weren't important." Anna glanced at him, surprised. "What was important then?" "Your silence," he said. "It spoke louder." Her lips parted just slightly. She didn't know what to say. For a long moment, they just sat like that. Two people on a quiet set. The cameras off. The world paused. No roles, no pressure, just presence. Anna closed the script, placed it gently beside her. Her shoulders softened, even if her eyes still held that ache. "Do you ever miss yourself?" she asked. Keanu took a breath. "Sometimes I look for him, the person I used to be." "Do you find him?" "Not always," he said. "But when I sit still long enough, sometimes he comes back, quietly." Anna nodded slowly, like that made sense, like it was something she needed to hear. "I don't know who I am without this," she whispered. "Without the cameras, the roles, the smile." Keanu looked at her. "Maybe you don't have to know right now." Anna turned to him again, and this time, she didn't look away. "How do you do it?" she asked. "How do you stay so grounded?" Keanu didn't answer right away. "I remember what matters," he said at last, "and I try not to run from it." Anna's gaze softened. "And what matters to you?" she asked. He smiled then, not big, not showy, just honest. "Kindness, quiet moments, people who see through the noise." Anna looked down again. Another tear fell. This time, she didn't wipe it. Keanu reached into his coat pocket and handed her a folded tissue. Not rushed, not forced, just simple. She took it with both hands, like it meant more than he knew, and maybe it did. That night, when everyone else forgot the day, when the cameras were packed and the trailers dark, two actors sat in silence, not needing to speak, not needing to fix anything. Just there. And maybe, in that silence, Anna began to breathe again, the kind built from rigged lights on set. It poured across the studio floor, chasing away the shadows, but not the heaviness that clung to Anna. Her call time was 6 a.m. She arrived at 5:40. She always did. No one noticed. No one asked why she came early. But it was simple. Being early meant fewer people, fewer eyes, fewer chances to be asked if she was okay. The makeup artist smiled as she applied concealer under Anna's eyes, carefully hiding the bags that had grown deeper overnight. Anna smiled back, like always, like habit. She didn't speak much. She didn't need to. Everyone assumed she was just focused, professional, driven. No one knew she hadn't slept. No one but Keanu. He was already there too. Sitting in the far corner of the room, reading the script like it was a letter from someone important. He hadn't looked up when she entered, hadn't said good morning, but she saw the way his hand paused slightly when she walked by. It was enough. They didn't speak before the shoot, not at breakfast, not in costume, not during rehearsal. But something unspoken lingered in the air. Something from the night before. A shared pause, a shared truth. The director called action by 7:15. It was a tough scene, one of those intimate, painful conversations between their characters. Her line came first. She looked into Keanu's eyes, trying to find the moment. And that's when it happened. She broke. Her voice cracked. "Just a little." just enough for the script supervisor to raise a brow, just enough for the sound guy to glance up, just enough for the director to interrupt and say, "Cut. Anna, let's reset that tone." She nodded, polite, apologetic. "Sorry," she whispered. But Keanu didn't blink. The second take came. Anna started again. She tried to control it, keep her breath steady, but halfway through the line, her lip trembled. Her eyes flickered with something too real. "Cut again," the director said. "Anna, it's not grief yet. Not in this scene. Remember, she's still pretending everything's fine." Anna nodded again. Of course. But she wasn't pretending. Not anymore. The third take didn't even finish. The director rubbed his forehead. "Anna, let's take 5. She stepped off set, heart pounding, hands shaking. The assistant handed her a water bottle. She held it, but didn't drink. Instead, she turned to the edge of the set where a dim shadow stood watching. Keanu. He hadn't spoken yet. Hadn't told her what she was doing wrong. Hadn't offered advice. But when she looked at him now, his expression didn't hold judgment. Just understanding. He stepped forward, not rushed. Just enough to reach her, just enough to give her a moment she didn't have to ask for. "Walk with me," he said gently. They left the set without words. Walked past crew members, past the trailers, until they reached the back lot. The morning air was cool, the light softer here, quieter. Anna finally spoke. "I'm ruining the scene." Keanu shook his head. "You're just being honest." "They don't want honesty," she said. "They want control. Perfection. Illusion." Keanu looked up at the sky. "Maybe, but sometimes the truth breaks through anyway." Anna let out a tired laugh. "Truth gets you sent back to your trailer." "Maybe. Or maybe truth makes someone stop and listen." The director looked unsure. Keanu, this scene is just her." "I'm not in the shot," Keanu said, his voice calm. "Just here for her." Anna didn't move, didn't speak, but her eyes glistened. Just his presence steadied her breathing. Just knowing someone was there who saw more than the performance. They started again. This time, when she reached the line about feeling invisible, she didn't pretend. She just said it. And it cracked something inside her that hadn't been touched in years. The pain came through. Not loud, not dramatic, but quiet. Real. Like the kind of sorrow that sits in silence and waits for someone to notice. When she finished, no one spoke. The director stayed quiet. The crew didn't move. Because what they saw wasn't acting. It was truth. Anna turned her back to the camera, tears silently falling. Keanu was already there. Not close enough to crowd her. Just enough to say, "I saw it." He didn't say good job. He didn't say beautiful performance. He just whispered, "You let go." Anna wiped her face, still facing away. "I didn't plan to," she said. "The best moments never are," he replied. She turned to him, eyes red but clear, her voice soft. "I felt exposed." Keanu nodded. "That's what makes it honest." She looked at him, her shoulders trembling. "What if they only love me when I'm pretending?" "Then they don't love you," he said. "They love the mask." Anna nodded slowly. "I think I've worn it too long." "Maybe it's time to put it down," he said. She exhaled, a shaky laugh escaping. "I don't know who I am underneath it." Keanu's voice was steady. "Then let's find out." They walked together off the set. People stepped aside. Some clapped quietly. Others just stared. They didn't know what they'd just witnessed, but they felt it. Anna and Keanu reached the hallway. The door clicked shut behind them. She leaned against the wall and slid down to sit on the floor.
Do you think people can really change? She asked.
Keanu sat beside her. I think people can become, he said.
Become what?
More honest, more free, more themselves. Anna looked down at her hands.
I'm scared of that.
Me too, he said. She smiled through the sadness.
You don't seem scared of anything.
I'm scared of losing quiet things, he whispered. She blinked. What kind of quiet things? Moments like this, he said, where someone lets themselves be seen. She rested her head against the wall, closing her eyes.
I've never let anyone see this side, she said, not even the people close to me.
Maybe you didn't trust they'd stay, he said. She opened her eyes and looked at him. But you stayed. He nodded. And I will. Anna's lip trembled again. But this time she didn't hide it. The hotel room was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that didn't feel peaceful, only wide and empty. She sat by the window in a robe, her knees pulled to her chest, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. Every now and then, a car passed below. Voices echoed faintly from somewhere across the building, but nothing touched her. She had wrapped filming early that day. They said the emotional scene she gave was perfect, raw, breathtaking. But she didn't feel proud. She didn't feel finished. She just felt exposed. Like she'd given too much of herself, and now there was nothing left to give. A soft knock at the door made her jump. Her breath caught. She wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, she stood and walked to the door. For a second, she stared at it, unsure. Then quietly, she opened it. Keanu stood there, still in the same jacket from set, holding 2 small paper cups. I figured you didn't sleep either, he said gently. Anna stepped back to let him in. She didn't speak. Didn't need to. He handed her a cup, chamomile tea, still warm. She took it in both hands. They sat together by the window, 2 quiet shadows in a city that never stopped glowing. Anna sipped the tea slowly, then whispered, Do you think they'll ever stop expecting me to be strong? Keanu looked out the window. Probably not. She nodded. Then I guess I'll keep pretending. He turned to her. No, you won't. Why not? Because you're tired, he said, and because you've started telling the truth. Anna stared into her tea.
The truth feels dangerous.
It is, he replied, but so is silence. She looked at him.
Why do you always know what to say?
I don't, he said with a soft smile. I just listen long enough to hear what matters. Anna set the tea down and leaned her head against the cold glass of the window.
I hate that I keep crying,
she whispered.
I feel like I'm always apologizing for it. Like I'm too much, too emotional, too sensitive.
Keanu didn't speak right away. He let the silence fill the room like a kind wind. You shouldn't apologize, he said. For crying? For feeling, he corrected. For being human. For carrying weight the world doesn't see. Anna closed her eyes. I don't want to be the fragile one. You're not, he said. You're just the honest one. She blinked. People don't stay when you're honest. He nodded. Some leave, but the ones who matter don't. Anna let the words settle inside her, like drops falling slowly into a still lake. When you first saw me crying, she asked quietly, did you think I was weak? Keanu shook his head. I thought you were strong enough to stop pretending. Anna looked down. Her hands were shaking slightly. I wanted to quit again today, she admitted. After the scene, I felt like I had nothing left. But you didn't, Keanu said. Because of you, she whispered. He paused. Not because of me, he said. Because deep down you didn't want to run. You just needed someone to remind you that staying was brave too. She looked up, eyes glistening. Do you ever regret staying? Keanu's voice was low. Sure. Never. The word wrapped around her like a blanket. Anna reached for the tea again. Her fingers steadied as they curled around the cup. When this movie ends, she said, and everyone goes home, what do I do then? Keanu leaned back, his eyes calm. You keep showing up for yourself, he said. Just like you're doing now. Anna exhaled, slow and shaky. I don't know if I'll remember how. I'll remind you, he said. The city outside blinked and moved and kept going. Inside, the quiet grew softer. I'm scared of being alone again, she said. Keanu didn't flinch. I'll stay, he said. Even if I'm far, even if it's just a message, I'll remind you what you showed me. What's that? She asked. He turned to her. That broken doesn't mean empty, and tears don't mean weakness. Anna's lips trembled. I've been so afraid of being too much, she whispered. Keanu leaned in slightly, his voice softer than before. Maybe you're exactly enough. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. The tears came again, but this time, she didn't apologize. She let them fall. And Keanu didn't reach to stop them. He just stayed. A quiet anchor. A soft presence. The one person who hadn't looked away. The final day of filming arrived with a strange silence. Not the kind that brings peace, but the kind that feels like something important is about to end. The crew moved slowly that morning, quieter than usual. Laughter was softer. Footsteps were lighter. Everyone knew the weight of the last day. Everyone felt it. Anna stood in her dressing room, hands resting on the table, eyes staring into the mirror. The makeup team had already left. Her costume was perfect. Her hair curled just enough to match the emotional arc of her character. Everything was ready. But her heart still trembled. She looked into her own reflection, not the actress, not the role, not the smile she was known for, but the woman beneath all of it. The one who had cried in silence, smiled through storms, and kept showing up even when she felt like disappearing. Behind her, the door opened softly. She didn't need to turn around. She already knew. You always come when it matters, she whispered. Keanu stepped in, closing the door gently behind him. Only when I'm needed, he said. She turned and faced him fully. Her eyes were not red today, not heavy. They were clear. Today's the last scene, she said. I know. I thought I'd feel lighter, she admitted. You will, Keanu said. Not today, but soon. She looked down. I'm scared I'll go back to pretending again, after this, once we leave. He didn't rush to answer. Instead, he pulled something from his coat pocket and handed it to her, a small notebook. She opened it. Inside were pages, not full, just a few, handwritten notes, quotes, moments he had scribbled quietly throughout the shoot. At the top of the first page, it said, For the days when silence feels louder than applause. Her eyes softened. She flipped to another page. You were never too much. You were always just unseen. Another one. Your tears didn't break the scene. They made it honest. And at the very back, one line, underlined gently. You don't have to be strong to be loved. Just present. Anna looked up, her throat thick with emotion. Why did you do this? She asked. Keanu smiled. Because one day, when the world is too loud and you forget who you are, I want you to remember who you were when you stopped hiding. She stepped closer, holding the notebook against her chest.
I'm going to miss this,
She whispered. Me too, he said. A long pause settled between them. Then Keanu added softly, but what you found, what you became, it isn't tied to this set. It's in you now. Anna closed her eyes. It still hurts sometimes. That means you're healing, he replied. Not pretending anymore. They stood like that for a moment, two people not needing anything but truth. Later that afternoon, as the cameras rolled for she folded her arms across her chest, not from the cold, but from something else. Something inside that needed holding. You're always calm, she said. Always steady. How do you carry that? Keanu shrugged a little. I've dropped it before, more than once. Anna looked at him, waiting. There was a time, he began, when I couldn't show anything, because I thought people would walk away if they saw too much. Did they? She asked. He paused. Some did, he said. But the ones who stayed, those were the ones worth keeping. Anna felt that like a note hit low and deep in her chest. She lowered her gaze, chewing on that silence between his words. I'm tired, she admitted. Keanu nodded. I know. But I don't know why. Nothing's really wrong. Does something have to be wrong? He asked. Can't you just be tired? Anna blinked. I don't know how to let myself feel that. Keanu turned slightly toward her, his voice softer now. You already are. She didn't speak, didn't move, just stood there, a woman holding the weight of emotions she hadn't named yet. He gently reached into his coat pocket, the same one as last night, and pulled out another tissue. This time she laughed. You carry tissues now? She teased, voice cracking. He smiled. I'm an optimist. She took it, wiping the corner of her eye before a tear could fall. Do you ever feel invisible? She asked. Keanu thought for a moment. Sometimes, even in a room full of people. But they love you, she said. Everyone does. Love doesn't always see the cracks, he replied. Sometimes it just wants the shine. Anna stared at him. I think I'm tired of shining. Keanu didn't answer. Instead, he sat on the wooden crate nearby, inviting her to sit too. Then don't, he said. Don't shine. Don't force it. Don't fake it. Don't hide. Anna sat beside him. The back lot was quiet. No footsteps, no cameras, just birds in the distance and wind brushing past the alley walls. They expect me to be strong, she whispered. You are, he said. Strong enough to admit you're not okay. They sat there for a long time. No script, no roles, no noise. And in that stillness, something shifted inside her. Not fixed, not solved, but loosened. When they returned to set, the director gave instructions for another take. This time, no one said anything when Anna paused mid-line. No one blinked when her eyes watered. No one shouted cut when her voice shook. And no one noticed how Keanu adjusted his performance too, so gently, so precisely, that it held her emotion like a hand. They finished the scene in one take, and when the director whispered, "That's it," even the sound guy nodded quietly. Anna stepped away, breathing just a little deeper. Keanu met her eyes, just for a second, and in that glance, she didn't need to say thank you. He already knew. The studio lights were harsher that afternoon. Maybe they hadn't changed at all. Maybe it was just her. Anna walked slower than usual to her trailer, each step feeling like a decision. People smiled at her as she passed. She smiled back, automatically, politely. The kind of smile that made them believe everything was fine. It had always worked before, but today, it felt heavier. Inside her trailer, the walls felt closer, the silence louder. She sat down, script still in hand, but didn't open it. Her fingers just rested on the cover like it might keep her from slipping again. A knock came, soft and careful. She didn't answer. The knock came again. "It's me," Keanu's voice said, gentle. She exhaled slowly and stood, opening the door. Keanu wasn't holding a script. He wasn't holding a coffee. He was just standing there, hands in his coat pockets like always, face calm but unreadable. "Can I sit?" he asked. She stepped aside. They sat opposite each other, neither speaking for a while. Anna leaned her head against the wall, eyes closed. "You okay?" Keanu asked softly. "I don't know," she answered. She didn't cry, not yet, not again. But the weight was there, sitting on her chest like a stone she couldn't move. "I woke up this morning," she whispered, "and didn't want to get out of bed, not because I was tired, just because I didn't want to do any of this. Not today." Keanu didn't flinch, didn't shift uncomfortably. He just waited. "I almost called in sick," she continued, "but I didn't know what to say. That I'm not sick, just empty?" Keanu finally spoke. "I've called in for that before." Anna looked up, surprised. "You?" "Once," he said, "after a night where everything inside me felt too loud." She gave a faint smile. "I didn't think you had loud days." "I do," he said. "I just learned how to listen without running." Anna closed her eyes again. "I keep thinking people are going to notice, that someone will say, 'You're not okay,' and I won't know what to say back." Keanu leaned forward, resting his arms on his legs. "What if they don't need to say anything?" "What do you mean?" "What if they just sit with you?" he said. "Like this. No pressure, no fixing, just presence." Anna looked at him, really looked. "Do you do this with everyone?" she asked. He smiled softly. "No, just the ones hiding tears behind their smile." Anna's shoulders dropped slightly, the tension loosening again. "You know," she whispered, "I used to think being strong meant hiding everything. But lately, hiding feels like drowning." Keanu nodded. Strength isn't silence. Sometimes it's the voice you use when no one else can hear you. Her lip trembled again. She bit it to stop it. Keanu leaned back. "When I lost my sister," he said quietly, "I didn't cry for a week. Not because I didn't want to. I just forgot how." Anna's eyes widened slightly. He had never spoken of that before, not on set, not in interviews, not to anyone. "When I finally did," he continued, "it was in the middle of a grocery store, over a can of soup." Anna blinked, caught between grief and disbelief. "What happened?" she asked. "Nothing," he said. "No one said anything. No one even noticed. But that was the first time I realized the world won't always stop for your pain, so you have to give yourself permission." Anna pressed her hand to her chest, trying to calm the rising ache. "I don't want to be a burden," she said. Keanu shook his head. "You're not. Feeling isn't a burden. It's proof you're still here." A tear slipped down her cheek, uninvited. "I hate crying," she said. "I don't," he answered. She looked at him, surprised. "Why?" "Because it reminds me I still care," he said. "That something inside me is alive, even if it hurts." Anna wiped her face quickly, trying to keep control. "Everyone thinks I'm so put together," she whispered. "But most days, I feel like I'm unraveling." "Maybe it's time to stop pretending," Keanu said. "Not for them, just for yourself." She swallowed hard. "I don't know how. You're already doing it." She looked down, hands in her lap. Silence settled again, not uncomfortable, just honest. I wanted to quit this film last week, she admitted. I didn't tell anyone. Keanu didn't react. What stopped you? I saw you, she said, off camera, helping that young actress run lines, the way you made her feel safe. It reminded me, people like you exist, people who show up without needing to be seen. His expression softened. Then last night, she continued, voice cracking, you sat with me, and today, you came back, even when I didn't ask. Keanu leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You don't have to ask, he said. You just have to be. She let out a shaky breath. What if I'm not enough? He looked straight at her. You are. No hesitation, no filler, just that. You don't see it yet, he added. But you will. Anna's throat tightened. This time, she let the tears fall, not because she was weak, but because she finally felt safe enough to be real. And maybe that was stronger than anything she'd done on screen. Anna stood behind the curtain on stage B, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. Her nails pressed into her palm, not hard enough to hurt, but just enough to feel something. Her costume felt too tight, the lights too bright. The chatter of the crew felt like distant echoes. Today's scene was simple, on paper, just a monologue, just her and the camera. No partner, no lines to bounce off, no one to anchor her, just silence. And 100 eyes watching from behind the lens. Her character was supposed to speak about loss, about grief that never healed, about pretending life moved on, about breaking down in a parking lot, unseen. The irony wasn't lost on her. The director approached. He smiled, encouraging, fake. Anna, he said, this one is all you. Just go deep, raw. Don't hold back. She nodded. But inside, something sank. She knew how to act grief. She'd done it before, many times. But today wasn't about pretending. Today, the grief wasn't a script. She stepped into the light. The crew fell silent. The camera rolled. Her cue blinked. She started the monologue. 2 lines in, her throat tightened. 4 lines in, her vision blurred. 6 lines in, her voice cracked. By the end of the paragraph, she was silent. Cut, the director called gently. Anna, are you okay? She nodded quickly, wiping under her eyes, trying to stay composed. Yeah, sorry. I'm okay. But she wasn't, and someone knew. Behind the camera, leaning quietly by the wall, Keanu Reeves stepped forward. He said nothing, didn't ask for permission. He just walked up to the edge of the light and stood there, watching her, not judging, not rescuing, just grounding. Later that afternoon, as the cameras rolled for the final time, Anna stepped into the spotlight. But something was different. She wasn't acting anymore. She wasn't trying to impress. She wasn't covering up the cracks. She just was. When the scene ended, the director whispered, "Cut," and no one moved. Not at first. Then the crew broke into applause, not for the performance, not for the character, for her. Anna smiled, not the one she used to wear like armor, but the real one, the quiet, steady one. She stepped down from the stage. Keanu waited nearby, no cameras, no script, no lines left to say. He handed her a small wrap gift, a single bookmark that read, "You were never lost, just waiting to be seen." Anna laughed softly. "Do you always speak in poetry?" He shrugged. "Only for the people who need it." The wrap party was loud, full of champagne and congratulations. But Anna didn't stay long. She stood outside instead, breathing the cool night air. Keanu joined her a few minutes later. "Where will you go now?" she asked. "Home," he said. She nodded. "Me too." But she wasn't talking about a place. She was talking about something inside her, something steady, something real, something she had finally found again. He understood. "Promise me something," she said. "Anything. If I forget who I am again, you'll remind me?" He nodded. "Always." Anna looked up at the stars. "This movie won't be what people expect," she said. "No," Keanu replied. "It'll be better, because it's honest." She took one last deep breath. Then, for the first time in a long time, she stood tall, not for the cameras, not for anyone else, but for herself. And Keanu stood beside her, not because she needed him, but because he had seen her when no one else did.